I'm Elizabeth Henson. Welcome to the Messy Success Podcast, where I'm helping creative dreamers and overachievers tackle business and life. After 6 years of being my own boss, I finally unraveled a tiny bit of what it takes to survive in this amazing world of being an overly creative entrepreneur. I'm your business bestie, here to help you with all those big ideas and to normalize some of the day-to-day struggles that we all share. My mission is simple. I want more women to make a living doing what they love and to feel good about themselves in the process. The best way to start? We can't do it alone. So welcome. I hope you'll hang out with me here where it's totally okay to be messy. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Messy Success Podcast. I'm so glad you're here. We took a little bit of a break 2 weeks ago. Madison was very sick. I'm talking like 6 days of relatively high fevers, you guys. It was crazy. It threw off my entire schedule, but that is part of, being a work-at-home mom. My kids do go to daycare, but as I've mentioned before, it's for very few hours a day. And then the week after, we have been completely focused on the launch for the Shine the Light Society, which has been really exciting. The cart actually closes tonight at midnight. So if you're listening, you have one last chance to get into the Shine the Light Society. You can go to elizabethhensonphotos.com/Shine the Light Society. And if you're listening to this after, don't worry, you can hop right on the wait list and we will be launching again in the next couple of months. But I'm really excited about it. We have some amazing ladies in there. I cannot wait to share more with you as this project continues to grow. I'm actually going to be sharing a lot of really nitty-gritty behind the scenes today. I know that you guys love hearing about the journey, hearing about the stuff that is not so elegant and glamorous and kind of the real life growth stuff. Like, you guys are growing with me this year. You're going through this transition period with me that I'm going to talk a lot about today. So you guys know, obviously, that I've been a photographer for 6 years. That is the bread and butter of my business. I've built a very thriving photography business here in Hampton Roads. But as I've mentioned, I'm transitioning into a place of wanting more weekends off, wanting to be home more with my kids, and wanting to work less nights. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to line up people who will get married between Monday and Friday and 9 to 5, and I'm your photographer. I know that's not very realistic, but I'm doing a lot of this because I'm trying to step into the person that I really want to be when I'm 40, right? Like, I'm 36, I'm not there yet, but to really have the life that I want by 40, we need to be working on that now. And I don't want to be a 40-year-old wedding photographer. And, I have my associate program, which I've really been experimenting with and growing with and trying to figure out if that's the direction that we want to go. But a direction that I do know that I want to go is this coaching space, helping other women create thriving communities around their brand. I'm really leaning into that. I'm getting coached myself around that. I'm in James Wedmore's year-long Next Level program. So if you guys are listening to the podcast throughout 2019, you're going to be able to walk through this with me step by step. And I just think that's a really exciting time to be following along with Elizabeth Henson behind the scenes. Because hopefully in a couple years, we'll be looking back on this and I'll say, oh my gosh, you can go listen to that episode where I talked about warm traffic and cold traffic and what my struggles really were. And that's kind of what we're going to dig into today. So I was talking to a great friend of mine, Amanda Hedgepeth, this morning, and we were having this conversation about are photographers still taken seriously as entrepreneurs, right? Like, the era of Caitlin James has changed, and those photographers have all transitioned into some type of, multi-passionate, or they've really nestled into a successful place of educating other photographers, that they're not just relying on taking pictures for money anymore, right? Because as much as we all love taking pictures for money, it's not scalable. And in order to really create a living, we're going to have to continue working Saturdays and continue to trade our time for money to do that. And a lot of photographers that end up transitioning into a little bit more of an in-depth entrepreneurial lifestyle is because they want things that are more scalable, things that they can make more money in less time and essentially help more people, right? Like that's what it's all about. So I love teaching other photographers, and I've been doing it for a long time now, and I love mentoring other women on growing their business. But a few years ago, I really discovered that for me, it wasn't like magical sitting down and teaching someone how to use their camera. Like that didn't light me up in the same way as seeing that woman see herself as an actual CEO of her business or a successful business owner, seeing her eyes light up when she pictured what her life could look like being her own boss. My sister-in-law that lived with us when she started her cake baking company, and now she's like wildly successful in Hampton Roads. I'm so freaking proud of her. Like that just fuels my soul in such a big way to see women making this transition from idea / hobby to like actual legit business where they are paying their mortgages, supporting their families. Like that transition is what is so magical for me. And I really knew that that's what I needed to pour my energy and efforts into, and not so much, here's how you use a DSLR camera. Yes, I can teach you that. And yes, I'll have so much fun teaching you that. But that's just not the same to me. It's not the same reward. It's not the same journey. So, this has been years now of me trying to figure out, like, how do I be a business coach, or, a leader of helping women build their communities around their brand, and also be a photographer. What does this look like? How are people going to take me seriously? Do people still take photographers seriously? And, the more I'm surrounding myself with these multiple 6, 7, 8-figure women, the smaller I feel as a photographer. And I don't mean that in a way of measuring my success. I'm incredibly proud of what I've done and the fact that I continue to support my family and that I continue to raise my children, working essentially 3 hours a day, because I drop my kids off at school. I pick my kids up from school 3 hours later. I bring them home and I get to hang out with my kids all afternoon, which is amazing and sometimes drives me crazy at the same time. And then lately I've been home so much more with my husband. I'm incredibly proud of the fact that I get to do that. So I'm not saying I'm measuring success in the form of that. I just mean a measuring stick in the form of that. I just mean that to me, having a successful photography business and taking great pictures for money does not really measure where I have been or where I want to go in the form of being a great leader, in the form of helping women grow communities around their brand. So specifically what I mean is like when I'm trying to target cold traffic, and I'm going to tell you guys about cold traffic versus warm traffic in just a second if you're unfamiliar. Someone that has never seen or heard of me at all, has no idea who Elizabeth Henson is, right? Say they run across my business, and my business is Elizabeth Henson Photos, right? Elizabeth Henson Photos on Facebook, Elizabeth Henson Photos on the internet. Are they going to take me seriously as someone who can help them build a community around their brand if they don't know my brand, right? And I'm not saying I know the answer to that. That's just a question that I'm asking myself, that I'm talking to my peers with. Is it confusing for people that have never heard of me at all to see, a sponsored ad in their Facebook feed from Elizabeth Henson Photos? Come join my community, learn to grow your business without social media, So that's a lot of what I'm working on behind the scenes right now is like, am I going to create this second website? Am I going to become elizabethhenson.co? instead of Elizabeth Henson Photos forever, the more I lean into this space with memberships and coaching and all the things. So a warm traffic versus cold traffic. Like I said, I'm just going to be so transparent with you guys. I'm really good at selling to my warm traffic. Warm traffic is people who already know, like, and trust you. Okay, so just keep it that simple. People who already know, like, and trust you are considered your warm traffic. These are the people that engage with your Instagram posts every day, who see your stuff on Facebook, who read your emails, who come to your workshops, who are in your DMs, who you probably have a little bit of a relationship with. And if you don't, they have a relationship with you, right? This is your warm traffic. So I come up with new offers all the time for my people. Here's a pop-up workshop. Here's an in-person workshop. Here's my in-person membership. Here's my online membership. Here is a virtual workshop, a virtual think tank, a free download, like this podcast. I'm constantly putting out new things for my warm people, and it does great. But here's my problem. Here's my Elizabeth Henson problem that I'm getting significant help with right now in James Wedmore's program, Next Level, is that when it comes time to transition from my warm traffic to my cold traffic, because eventually all my warm traffic people have bought the thing, right? Say it's a workshop. Eventually, I have sold X amount of seats from my warm traffic, and those are the people that are going to buy. End of story. Now, what do I do to reach cold traffic? People that have never heard of me. And this is when it gets hard. This is why my mastermind programs, round 1 did great. Round 2 did great. Round 3 flop, because I was still warm traffic, warm traffic, warm traffic. And all my warm traffic people had bought it. So rather than power through what's hard, which is like reaching new people, I was like, all right, cool. Time to come up with something else. And I came up with another offer, and I continue to come up with new offers to sell to the same people. And I'm helping them. And I love these people so much. And I will continue to serve them. But for me to really grow on a bigger level, I've got to come up with ways to reach new people. And I'm sure somebody out there listening can relate to this, right? So I have to be able to take these offers that are working, these successful programs that are working for my warm traffic, and get cold traffic people to them. And that is where my number one roadblock is right at this time. I got so many people into the Shine the Light Society through the beta program and figuring it all out. And I'm continuing to get people in now that it's a real membership, which is great. But I have to be able to reach more people to impact more women, right? I can't always continue to do the one-to-one offers. So that's the roadblock that I'm in right now. And, I'm going to have lots of transition and lots of help to figure it all out. And we've been doing a lot of experimenting with Facebook ads, which, as you guys know, give me a huge headache. It is not in my wheelhouse at all. Sales copy is so hard for me. While I do think that I'm significantly improving, it's still a pain point for me trying to create copy that converts. I'm not a great writer. I don't like to feel salesy, right? The more I focus on actually helping people, the less it feels like I'm selling to them, if that makes sense. And it's a constant thing that we have to wake up every morning and realign ourselves and know why we're doing what we're doing, right? And focus on our warm people that are seeing the results instead of stressing about how to get to the next point. So it's this happy medium of continue to serve the people that you're working with so hard and love on them, but also behind the scenes, kind of like, okay, we've got to reach more people so that we can have more impact. All right, so we talked about Facebook ads being one way. So far, I'm still very much struggling in that department. But another way is we can actually reach cold audience people through organic measures, organic reach. And one of the best ways to do this is like through collaboration, which is one of the reasons that I wanted to do the Shine the Light Summit, which we did last week. Because the whole idea in a virtual summit is that everybody is sharing their audiences, right? Everybody shares with their audience, and then, all the audiences overlap, and all the audiences that sign up are watching this simultaneous summit, learning from all these different people. So essentially everybody wins if you're very clear on your messaging, if you're very clear on what you're giving the people or your opt-in or whatever you might have. But I will definitely be trying to explore more collaborations, because that is a faster track way to warm up people even faster. So to take cold to warm, because now you've got this mutual person who's saying, hey, like Liz Henson's pretty awesome, or hey, so-and-so is pretty awesome. You guys totally need to listen to what she has to say, right? You guys totally need to listen to her talk about how to build a community around your brand. So there are lots of different ways to do this more organically than just Facebook ads. And I think one of the limiting beliefs that I've been struggling with is like, I thought Facebook ads were the only way. And of course I believe in collaborations, but I think sometimes we can forget how powerful they truly can be. And that's one of the things that we're focusing on inside the Shine the Light Society is how to do more collaborations, how to find people who have similar audiences, who have similar core values, whose, mutual audiences are going to really love the content that person's putting out. And we're really going through some of this together as I learn how to do higher level collaborations. I'm sharing with them and I'm challenging them to do collaborations every single week. And little by little, the more people you meet and the more people that know, like, and trust you and the more people that will rave about you, the more organically you're going to reach cold traffic that will turn to warm traffic. That whole cold versus warm thing. I'm like scared to death of cold, but my warm audience, I got you. So let's hope that I can really learn a lot about this. I'll be going back to California in April for our in-person retreat. So stay tuned because I'll be coming back with all kinds of stuff from that, telling you guys what I learned. So anyway, that was my big discussion for today, was to talk about my personal roadblock, which is how typically, rather than powering through with one offer, I give up and come up with a new offer. So I want you to not do that. And that's what I'm really challenging myself on this year, is to focus on one bridge. So the Shine the Light Society is my big one bridge for 2019 that I'm focusing on, and I'm not allowed to give up no matter how hard it gets. I can refocus, I can rewrite the script of what it looks like, but I'm not allowed to give up. It's my one bridge and I will not give up. Where old Liz would have been like, okay, cool, I've sold it to X amount of people, let's come up with a new offer. But that's not what we want. Some of the most successful entrepreneurs only have one signature offer, and they just continue to grow. That's why you see the high level people that you look up to that still have some of the same programs that they've had 2 or 3 years ago. They've just learned to scale it so that it really, really reaches more people, because that's the idea, right? To do less work, but have more impact. So hopefully I will continue to grow in that aspect, and I'll stop kind of just reinventing the wheel every time. And something else that I'll talk about at some point that James has taught us is his extension model, which is kind of giving your customers this ladder to climb, right? So rather than having all these lateral side-by-side offers, you're letting them climb a ladder of higher level offers to work with you. That has been really, really good for me to learn as well. So my question of the week this week, I've started doing a little question of the week, kind of a theme to talk about in the Messy Squad and on my Instagram and all that good stuff, is if we could wave a magic wand and move you forward in your business in the next week, what would that look like? What is one thing, if you could move the needle in your business, that one thing that you felt like has just been too hard or you can't do, what's one thing that would move you forward in the next week? And then, of course, I want to know, what is stopping you, right? What is stopping you? Let's take a look at some of the answers that I've gotten so far. So one of them is to quit my 9-to-5 and not struggle to pay bills. Okay. So my solution to that, or my question back from a coaching standpoint, would say, okay, so let's create a wish list or a goal list of what that looks like. What income do we need to not struggle, right? We need to put a number goal on that. Like, what's the lowest amount that you can make to not struggle to pay bills? And how far are you from point A to point B? And what do we need to do to get to point B? And then everyone out there who has a day job that eventually wants to quit, I want to challenge you to put a quit date in your calendar, right? Like, I was a teacher, so I kind of naturally knew that when I did leave, it would be, when the school year is getting out, because there's like a start and an end to teaching. So I naturally knew in the back of my mind, like, okay, if this is the year that I go full time, it's going to be June of, next year, whatever. And that kind of accidentally gave me a quit date in my calendar. So I want you to give yourself a quit date. I want you to really look at the numbers and where you need to get and how you need to get there. And then say it's 6 months from now, maybe it's 2 years from now. It depends on how close you are to having that kind of safety net, that bottom dollar income. And I want you to give yourself a date. So like maybe it's February of 2020, or maybe it's September of 2020, that this date is when you plan on quitting your day job. And if you give yourself a date, it becomes a real thing, right? Like if we can put our business goals or even our life goals in our calendar, just like we would a doctor's appointment, we will take them seriously and we will constantly remind ourselves, and then we will work towards it in a much more efficient way. So if you're one of those people with a day job and you want to eventually quit, that would be my challenge for you, is to give yourself a quit date. And what's the worst that could happen? You adjust it, you move it, you push it back 6 months. Well, that's not any different than what you're doing right now, right? At least if you have a date, it gives you something to work towards. All right. Another one I got was to figure out Facebook ads. I'm so with you on that. That is definitely not something that I can give you the answer to right now, but I can tell you that I have just been experimenting a lot, guided experimentation, because we have a Facebook coach in Next Level. But I have done 4 different ads so far, and I feel like it was on the 4th one that I started to get closer to where I need to be. And I'm not even going to say that was a great place, because I didn't run them very long. I didn't put a lot of money on them. It was really just experimental at this point. But the only way to learn is to just freaking do it. And it's awful and it's painful and it's not my wheelhouse. But get someone that knows what they're doing to help you, and just start and really track the data. Another one, have a separate outdoor studio space. And then when I asked what was stopping these people, she said it's not just a priority yet. So when we have these big, dreamy, scary goals that are not quite a priority yet, I like to kind of think about what kind of clutter's in the way. So if that's not a priority yet, but it's definitely something that you want to do, right? Like top 5 things in your life, your business that you want to do, or else it wouldn't have been the answer to this question. So what can we declutter between now and then? Like, is it a financial goal thing? Is it other life projects are in the way? Like, what kind of stuff can we declutter? I'd really like to dig into that one, but I feel like I don't quite have enough information to go on. Oh, and then there's always the lose weight and get in shape. Okay, I love talking about this one because to me, that's what I call like a blanket goal, right? Lose weight, get in shape. It's like a big blanket. It's like this vision, this thing you want to do. But until you put it in the calendar or somehow make it official, like it's probably not going to move forward. So, and I've told this story so many times, but when I got back into the gym, it was like March. And I said, okay, my life is crazy between March and July. But in July, I'm going to go back to the gym and I'm going to do what I have to do to make that happen. So I gave myself a date. A date in my calendar where there's no more excuses. I've been telling myself for 4 months, this is when I'm going to do it. So if you have one of those goals to get in better shape and lose weight, put something in your calendar and have a vision or a plan of like, when is this going to happen? Where is it going to happen? What time of day on which days, right? Like, okay, Monday, Wednesday, Friday evenings. And that's not going to be perfect. You're going to talk yourself out of it sometimes because that's what people do. But it won't happen at all unless you give yourself a date. So if you're one of those people that says lose weight, get in shape, I want you to rephrase that goal to yourself and say, okay, in May, I'm going to join a new gym. Or, in June, I am going to find a workout partner. Something that you can actually physically check off versus just the blanket statements. All right, that's enough of those for right now. We got a couple people saying money stopping me, knowledge, motivation, all that good stuff. You guys know I love to dig into that. So let me know this week, what is your What is one thing you would do for your business? If I could wave a magic wand to move your business forward, what would that thing be? I would love to hear from you. And I hope that you enjoyed my kind of behind the scenes, warm audience versus cold audience. If you have any tips or tricks in what you've been doing to reach new people, I would love for you to share them with us. And let me know your feedback. Do you think photographers are taken just as seriously in the entrepreneur space? Or do you think it's kind of its own separate thing? I would love to hear that too. Especially as things have, transitioned. And there's some really good photographers out there who are newer or who have no interest in offering educational services. I mean, it's become really easy to find really great photographers. I don't know that it's become really easy to find great business owners and great people, but there are so many people out there who take really beautiful pictures. So yeah, I just think that things are changing and things are evolving in the photography industry. And I just don't feel like, while it was a great stepping stone for me, I don't necessarily feel like it's a measuring stick for me, if that makes sense. So I would love to keep the conversation going. Thank you guys for being here for another episode. I am excited to be back after our little break. I can't wait to share everything with you from the Shine the Light Society and from my next trip to California in April. But I will be back next week, so we'll see you then. And don't forget to go ahead and hop in the Shine the Light Society with us. We are going to be adding on monthly think tank calls. I don't know if I'd really mentioned that live yet. But yeah, monthly think tank calls with me if you're in the Shine the Light Society. So elizabethhensonphotos.com/Shine the Light Society. If you miss it and you're listening to this after midnight on Thursday, you can totally hop on the wait list just to be kind of first to know next time we open the doors. But that's all for today. Thank you guys.